imagine what might happen if we cracked open the predictable. So let's talk about what predictable actually means. And I'm very excited to have listened to somebody named Melanie Ann Layer. And thank you, Turbo, for suggesting. Turbo is my colleague and my buddy and my friend. And Turbo Rainbow recommended very highly Melanie Ann Layer. And I'm so glad I listened to her. And she talks about money and life. And basically, money represents a field of energy. And here's what I would like to do with this topic. I asked you what would happen if we opened up predictability in our lives. So let me explain to you what I'm meaning by predictable. So predictable now in this new language that I'm giving you today involves your beliefs, your feelings, your thoughts, both good and bad, not just the high and mighty or the lowest that you judge, but everything, your past, everything you've known, let's call it that, everything that you've known to be true or to be a dynamic in your particular life. So let's say you're conflict avoidant. So if you say that about yourself, that means you've experienced certain kinds of conflict in your life, and you've now taken this stance. We're not judging it. We're just describing what's predictable. So we all have all of these experiences that have happened, and then we make certain conclusions and we have certain strategies within our personality. All of that is the predictable. It's really kind of easier to explain with money because money's concrete. So let's say you make $30,000 a year. Um, it might be predictable to make less if you were sick, and it might be predictable to make more if you got a raise or if your uncle died or if whatever. But money is concrete, so we know there's a range of things that seem possible because of your background. And then there's a range of experiences that are not predictable, but we could call them possible. So let's say you're 42 years old and you have a number of relatives that seem to have a certain amount of money. It is possible for you to imagine that you would get an inheritance, right? It's not predictable. You've not ever gotten an inheritance, but you've heard of inheritances and other people have gotten inheritances. So can we use the word possible there? Are you understanding? It's also for personal stretching. Let's say you worked for someone else. You could see it is possible for you to have your own business. And we could use those words, imagine or I wonder. We use those words for opening up conversations in a recent Musings post. So now we have the predictable and we have what's possible, which stretches what we've experienced with our imagination, right? And now the third one is a little harder, but is the juiciest. And it's the most fun in a way. because if you take these not as realities, the reality of imagination, but or the reality of what's predictable, but see them as energetic fields. And the difference is the reality, if you use that word, it seems more concrete, it seems more definite and bound with boundaries that are available or not available. But the third category is potential. And I'm not really talking about your potential or a human being's potential. Yes, that's involved. But what I'm talking about is life's potential. And life's potential is beyond your imagination. So recently, I lost an earring, this one. And I was kind of attached to it because for some reason, for the last 6 or 7 months, I did not change earrings. I just put these earrings on every day. Before this in my life, I would change earrings depending on what I was wearing. It was just part of getting dressed. I would, put browner lipstick on if I were wearing orangish colors, pinker lipstick on within my colors. But it's just a way of getting dressed. That was a habit. And I was in the woods with my niece and her children and lost the earring. And so I don't know what the right word is. I was not distraught. The earring is not a person, but I liked those earrings. And so I asked my daughter, Allie, I know there's a place on the computer where you can put in a picture, because I still had the one earring. There's a place you could put this in, and I didn't want to do it. I don't know, I was too annoyed. I didn't want to figure out how to do it. I said, would you look and see if there's an earring like this? And then she said there was some place you could get it for $17,000. I was like, no. That must be that everything is real and it must be a real diamond, and no. So I said, could you look on Amazon for me? And she did. And she said, I don't think there's anything. I looked and nothing similar. And I said, I don't know. I have a feeling, and I don't want to make this about my intuition. I just said, could you send me the ones that are like it that Amazon sent you? So the story gets better. It's not that Amazon had those earrings. That would have been a pretty good story. No, there was a similar earring. I don't know if you can see it. It's not important, but this has a couple, I think it's 1 or 2 fake diamonds right next to the pearl. And this one that they were selling had 3. And I thought, oh, I don't really like 3. It makes the diamonds more prominent. But let me get them, because it's so close to this earring, and it closes the same way. I like the way it closes. It's not with those little things that you have to put in the back and get it just right. It opens in this fun way where you just click it and then it's closed. So I like it. It's comfortable. It's easy. So I know I'm rattling on and making the story kind of long, but hopefully you're enjoying it. So I ordered the earrings with the 3 diamonds. And guess what comes? This is from Amazon. Like, Amazon is not your personal service. Connect with the seller, right? They sell what they sell. What came was one of these and one of the one I ordered. These were not on sale. I promise you, I checked it out. But if we said, does life outside of predictability, outside of what I think is possible, does life have the potential to send an earring? Let's not even go to the mystical, like it was Melissa or an angel. Let's not even define it. Let's just say, does life have that potential, that possibility? But we're using possibility for the personal stretch. So let's just call it life's potential. You see what I mean? But other examples of that could be, you're struggling with a question, what's the answer to it? And you sit down next to a person on a train or a plane, and you normally don't talk to the people because you like to do your work or you like to listen to a book. And this time you smile at the person and they smile at you, and you start a conversation. And all of a sudden, you know what I'm going to say. They're the expert, or they know the answer to your topic. So those things serendipitously happen. I put down another example, and let's see. Oh, like you go to a bookstore and you're not looking for anything particular, and you've just drawn to a book. So these are all kind of about potential in the sense of intuition, but let's keep those words separate and let's keep intuition out of it. Let's just imagine, because that's all we can do. We can't envision life's potential. That's what I'm trying to say. It's outside of our box. It's outside of the predictable. It's outside of what we can imagine. That's the next step. Imagining what if, and I wonder, to get out of the predictable. The predictable is everything you've ever experienced. And then there's life's potential. And I want this to be available to everybody. And don't just fill in your spiritual beliefs if you would be willing right now to just see it as life rather than the Holy Spirit or magic or miracles or angels, or like when we even put in how we know, or you said a prayer for it, and then that's your intention. It all brings it back to your control. But the gift that I'm offering you today is, what if we let go of the I so far that we took it out of our influence and our control, our surrender, our stretching, and just open to what might life have in store for me in my experience if I didn't limit it with the expectations from what is predictable. So I'll just let you play with that and write to me if you have questions or if you want to weigh in and hear some more, because I just love this topic and it's opened me up, and I hope it's opening you up too, because I'm even going to specifically bring it to people who are grieving, because we don't expect death. And then when death happens to a beloved, or we have a terminal disease, then certain things we expect, certain emotions, certain reactions. And what we don't expect is life's potential. What does life want to give us next? Because we only know what we've known. And what if we gathered together in not only our courage connections, but in potential circles where we just open to what's unimaginable? How much fun would life be?